Hello, everyone, and welcome to the C Squared podcast with Cori and Curtis. We are here today with the ever devious Necrosexual, who is going to talk to us about, Lord knows what, to be honest, because really, what can you expect from this guy?
So the Necrosexual is a very well-known commodity in the metal world, but just in case anyone doesn't know who you are and has been living under the proverbial rock, can you kind of say who you are, what you do, and your role in metal?
Indeed. What's up, sluts? The name is the Necrosexual.
Oh, I said it wrong.
That's all right. It's my job, baby. You got the name right. I've been called the Necromancer, the Necrotesticle, the guy from the Crow. So you got the name right. I do the theatrics, and I pride myself on being the most electrifying man in corpse entertainment, as well as being the Joan Rivers of black metal since 2012. I've been in the same position you guys have been, and also especially with the pandemic, usually I'm the one asking the questions, interviewing the biggest, nastiest names in heavy metal. And I'm also an artist, so I'm sensitive, and I have a Necrosexual band, an eponymous project. We have a couple records out that Curtis has helped me promote to thunderously mediocre reviews, but we got a lot of coverage, so thank you, Curtis. And yeah, so that's who I am. I'm the iconic cult, and I'm here to entertain.
Yeah.
So I'm going to let Cori start off the questions because since I know you a little bit better, I want to hear her fresh perspective.
Yes.
On so take it over, Cori.
My innocent perspective that won't be so innocent after the end of this interview.
Yeah. Right.
Untainted.
My untainted perspective. Okay, so I guess, well, my first question is going to be, so you have this image that you've got going on. How did you transform into the Necrosexual, or did you just claw your way out of your mom this way?
Yeah, pretty much. That's a short answer. It comes from a very honest place. I've been performing since 2011, and the whole idea of the Necrosexual, it's like my inner heavy metal Hellraiser, and also like my inner weirdo pervert dialed up to 11. So over the years, I perform more, I get on stage more, I talk to people, and this cult of character has clawed its way out a little bit in more detail the more I generate ideas. I actually just did a workshop I guess it was a few months ago now, through the Philadelphia Burlesque Academy. So
Nice.
sorry to take over your question with a retroactive plug, but I did a workshop called Cult of Character, and that was all about from everyone from burlesque performers to music people. And I was telling you, basically elaborating on this, how to generate ideas, how to get out there in the moment and feel comfortable with improv and the magic of spontaneity. And a lot of that has helped me transform this character a little bit deeper, because when I started out performing, it was a bit more of like a part satire, part celebration. But I'd say within the last 5 years, I've made it more my own and try to, get my own little DNA dripping everywhere in the Necrosexual sauce.
Don't ever take a black light with you to go see the Necrosexual. It'd just be DNA everywhere.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm going to play right into this, Curtis, and make you super freaking uncomfortable.
I did his PR. I know what he's like, so you cannot.
Right.
But that actually leads into like my next question. Your retroactive plug there is, so I mean, I know a lot of bands try to create this mystique and this alter ego almost of who they are. And do you think it's important for musicians and bands to have that kind of a unique persona, or do you think it's more you should do it if you're passionate about it and having fun with it rather than something you have to do?
I think it's important for bands to write memorable riffs and have a sound that rules, first off, and not just sound like supremely mediocre or sound like they're worshiping Bolt Thrower 30 years later. But so I think that's first and foremost. Musicians get really, really good at playing music and sounding like you, to the point that nobody else really sounds like you. And that's something that I've struggled with too, with my own music, finding that special sauce that's unique to the Necrosexual. In terms of like the persona, like this is just something that I've done, and I've got a rise out of people and got a reaction right away. And so one of the rules in improv is if you do something and people react, just keep doing it. So that's what I've been doing since 2011. But that's just me, you know, like you see some black metal people, and part of what I do is kind of making fun of musicians that take themselves too seriously. So like part of the reason why I have this persona is that I take my craft extremely seriously, but I'm also not afraid to not take myself too seriously. And I think that that's also something that, especially within his extreme metal, you have a lot of people that are just standing there with their arms crossed, and
They're always just like,
Yeah.
you got to take
face.
some. Yeah, you got to take some time to drink box wine and smell the dead roses.
yeah, exactly, or pose with some meat, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Life's too short. Have some meat.
Curtis, do you have a question so far? Or?
I do actually, but okay. So now I kind of look at the necrosexual as being like it's a package, not like your package, but you know,
Right. I mean, it is that is also true.
it is a package of like entertainment slash metal slash almost like comedy slash acting type thing. And I think that I don't think you can really have the music without the character. So how do you kind of make it so that way you do have quality music while still having this persona, if you get what I mean?
Right. Yeah. I guess if you count the first two records, that was something where I was still kind of getting comfortable with writing music. And I have a new EP that was started being recorded in fall 2019. And then the pandemic happened, and now it's finally finished recorded, and we're just waiting for the mixing and mastering. Nice. So hopefully in the next 3 to 6 months, I'll have another 3-song EP. And I think with this new record, the personality really, really shines through like the most consistently. And yeah, I think that in the past and with having this idea, again, it goes back to that one golden thread, and that golden thread is my character. And I think that with writing music, sometimes it starts with a riff, sometimes it starts with a lyric, sometimes it starts with a song title, and then I will kind of expand on it from there. But whenever I am puzzled, or whenever I kind of need somewhere to go, a lot of it isn't just doing more or less of something, it's just doing me and adding my own special flavor, Necro's riff sauce. So yeah, you can hear that a little bit on the first two records. I think you're going to hear that even more so on this new 3-song EP that will be here soon.
Well, let me ask. So I know this is a bit of a challenge because I know Gore's kind of gone through it, Green Jelly type bands with characters. I'm not saying you're necessarily in that like that genre, but like, okay, how do you kind of make it so that way it doesn't turn into like a running joke, but it stays fresh and like have new material, but it doesn't start to feel stale and like this. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure that out. Okay. I mean, I think I've been a running joke since 2011, and that's sort of also why I call myself the Joan Rivers of black metal, because especially with like some of the video interviews I've done, there's always commenters, or with anything that I've done, you know, I'd rather have like a 50-50 extremely polarizing appeal where it's either like people love it or people hate it, but it's still 50-50. Or maybe more people hate it, but the ones who like it actually love it. So I'd rather be, like I said, extremely polarizing than supremely mediocre. So yeah, and with interviews in the past, like I mentioned before, especially when you're doing heavy metal stuff on websites, there's always commenters and naysayers and haters that are like, man, this guy's a fucking joke. Yes, I'm here. It's the most electrifying man in corpse entertainment. It's in my tagline. I'm here to entertain. Whether you like it or not is a different story. That's on you, dude. But whether you're laughing at me, laughing with me, or I'm hoping to just get a reaction from you. So that's, I think, the most authentic thing I can do is just keep being me and have some good riffs to back it up.
Okay, Cori, I'm gonna let you shoot the next one. I do have more, but I want to fire it over.
So I know you do a bunch of collabs with people, and so when you approach somebody to do a collab and you're approaching them as the necrosexual, do you think is it more difficult or less or actually in your favor to do collabs as you rather than somebody normal or whatever normal is? I don't know how to word this.
Right.
But do you think what I'm guessing I'm saying is, does it hinder you, or do you think it helps you to find people who are really passionate about what you're doing?
Yeah, a necronormative person. So
a necronormative, yes, exactly. Somebody who isn't into corpses.
I'm sure it's worked both ways. Yeah. I'm sure there have been some people that, I mean, in the past year, for example, I was in a band. I played with my homie Ryan, who also drums in the Necrosexual band. On occasion, we did a thing called Dragon Night in quarantine. So the dudes who know me, those who know, those who get it, definitely get it. And in terms of people that might be freaked out, it is what it is. Like, I can't think of a time where someone has like actually said like, no, I'm freaked out by you. So yeah,
You must
I
be
think
really
that,
good at approaching people or approaching
Yeah.
the right people.
yeah, I pitch myself a lot, and if people say no or don't say anything at all, like, that is what it is. That kind of comes with the territory. But usually those who get it or see what I've done or see, like, I've spoken to some pretty respectable names in heavy metal, some big names, the Abbots and
Are
LT
any of us really
Petros,
respectable though?
they're respectable to me. People that I find, influential and that can make a living out of being a heavy metal musician. I've been doing it for decades. Like, I definitely respect that. So yeah, I guess that's my answer. I don't know.
That makes sense. Curtis, you raised your
I
hand.
did. What I was going to say is, I think people either get the joke or they don't get the joke.
Yeah.
I also think too, what I've had happen in the past have been like, I've had people go, they see the name and they're like, necrosexual, what the fuck is this? I don't know if I want to hear this, right? Because they think it's like, some guy screwing corpses or something like that, right? So, but once they actually click it and they listen to it and they see the persona and the character, I think more people get it than don't get it. Do you know what I mean? So in your opinion, what do you think, how do you think you can get more people to kind of like give necrosexual a chance if they're kind of like, with the name at first?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Just give Necro a chance.
Give them a chance. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I also think that you should know what you're getting into. Like, if you're the type of person that's turned off by metal band names, like, there's like literally 20 bands out there that have like necro in the prefix of their name. So within the heavy metal thing, I feel like you gotta be a little bit of a freak, let your freak flag fly, which is like the equivalent of live, laugh, love for Hellraisers. But yeah, I think that also having a good product, like having a very visually captivating product, like, so maybe you're turned off and the name necrosexual rubs you the wrong way, but look at these publicity photos of me naked and a sirloin over my dick. Like, that'll definitely win them over.
You're almost like the Lady Gaga of metal with all the meat.
Nice. Yeah.
Sorry.
That's a compliment too. She's making a living. So hey, it's all about making that money, baby.
Yes. How many creepers do you get every week, Necro? Do you get, look, like, because of the meat picture, you naked? Like, how many naked selfies get sent to you every week?
You know what? Surprisingly, none. I have never had that happen. I'm gonna show you something though.
Oh dear God.
I mean, it's PG. Don't worry, but I haven't had anybody mail or send me any unsolicited lewd photos, but I've been mailing these bad boys out like hotcakes. We got these signed 8x10s, and I've got one to mail out to Oregon today. So I've been selling those on my Bandcamp as well. So that photo shoot, shout out to Chris Koontz Photography. That's really the gift that keeps on giving.
Oregon's where I'm from, actually. So.
Oh, okay, cool. I thought you were Canadian. So
no, I'm from Oregon. I live in. Yep, I live just south of Portland.
Maybe it's your neighbor. There you go. So we got.
That would give. I'd have so much respect for my neighbor because she's like 90, and if she was into it, you know what, I would.
Yeah, grandmas love me. What can I say?
So you've had no creepers yet come after you for Okay, so now what would the necrosexual do if they did have a creeper come after them, just out of curiosity?
Probably block that shit.
You block it?
I mean, well, you're saying creeper. What do you mean? Like somebody sending like dick pics? That's pretty block worthy.
Sure, I don't know. Like, they're just like, okay, like, people send you. I mean, you're taking photographs nude with meat, and you get your comments like, hey,
Yeah, I guess people respect my art form enough to not cross that I don't want to jinx it yet. Like after I record this podcast, things could be getting dodgy.
There's gonna be
but,
so many dick pics in your inbox.
yeah. I mean, if
Uh,
it's consensual, by all means. But yeah, usually I'll say no to that.
shut that
Okay.
down.
So next question I had. So you kind of got like your image is kind of comic book influenced, I would think.
Yeah.
Influenced, that type of thing.
I don't want to say I'm Kiss influenced because then Gene might sue me. But
You do not have a Kiss influence. You've never heard a Kiss in your life. Maybe like, maybe you've seen them once or twice. So like, how do you kind of like take the inspiration without going copycat or anything like that?
Yeah, that's a constant struggle that I have because like there's so many different corpse paint designs, which is also why one of my signatures is that I don't really have like a specific one corpse paint style. Like it always changes. Like I kind of have the Van Gogh or no, the Picasso of corpse paint where he has his different colors. Like I have my different corpse paint looks. So yeah, like always try to avoid looking like Gene Simmons, but sometimes it's hard to do that. Or I try to avoid looking too much like the Crow or like Sting, but sometimes it'll happen inevitably. But I kind of take a Bob Ross approach to corpse paint where like I'll kind of start off with an idea and then usually I'll fuck
You'll
it
add
up
a happy little tree to it.
There'll be a lot of happy little accidents and then it just sort of comes out the way it comes out. And also in terms of comic books, you have the Grim One album cover by Scott Johnston. There we go. No glare there. So he really captured the Jack Kirby atmosphere that I was going for. So yeah, it's like you find ways to pay homage to things that I dig, but I'm also again trying to be my own character, my own a pervert's pervert, so to speak. So yeah.
Totally. Actually, I'm gonna let Cori ask the next one because I've been hogging the last few minutes.
Oh no, it's totally fine. So do you ever find yourself like struggling for new inspiration on how to push the necrosexual to a new height or a new level or just to try something new? And if you ever do struggle, where do you look for new inspiration?
I look to the bottom of a box of Franz Merlot. And then it'll be
the classic 65-year-old divorcee wine.
But yeah, I mean, it's been tough the last couple of months. It's been straight up depression has been pretty difficult, or like lack of focus, I think just from like the pandemic fatigue. So I've had a lot of ideas, but sometimes like getting the ball rolling, it could be a real chore, or like a lot of riffs in my head. But again, like getting the ball rolling could be a chore to pick up my guitar and play. So I think that's been really helpful though, that I have like this weekly or somewhat mostly weekly interview series where now I can connect with people from like literally all over the world, like from Botswana or from Europe or from the West Coast, and not have to leave my house and be able to interview them. So like having that regularity is super helpful. And I still have a new album that's recorded and is done. So even when there are slow days, I know that there's still things on the horizon. And but on good days, on days where I am feeling motivated, which is usually a lot of the time.
Extra sexual.
Yeah, just try to get out there, get some stuff on Twitter, make some videos and stuff, and just do something to get people engaged, get people talking, because it is a very visually striking thing that I do, and it is a lot of personality. So I always try to impart my personality in a way that people want to respond and say, "What's up?"
Yeah.
So
we've been talking. Oh no, I'll go ahead.
Well,
you go ahead.
Okay. Well, I wanted to just ask, how long does it take you to do your makeup, anyways?
I mean, when the days I don't just wake up like this in my casket, which happens sometimes. But I'd say about like today was like 15 minutes because I was having a very severe heavy metal hangover because I watched the Danzig full-length film last night with my friend for an upcoming movie series we're going to be doing. So in terms of new projects, we got that on the horizon too. But because it was the Glenn Danzig movie, we drink a lot of cheap boxed wine. And so I woke up pretty late. So yeah, I could say 10 minutes if I'm in 10, 15 minutes if I'm in a rush. If I could take my time, like a half hour. But again, I've been doing it since 2011 and I'm really big on asymmetry. So I got it down to a pretty fast science anymore.
Go ahead, Cori.
Oh no, I was gonna just ask. So we've been talking a lot with people about social media and being engaging on social media. What is your favorite platform? Where do you think you get the most engagement right now?
Yeah, it's all different. Each one kind of has its own like pluses and minuses. I still want to start doing more stuff on Twitch. I don't know anything about it, so that's like the one major player that I haven't really messed with too much. And like every time I don't really mess with Snapchat either, just because like it doesn't seem fun if you're not using it for illicit photographs anymore. Like what's the point? But I'd say YouTube, that's sort of my legacy one. Like I got a lot of fans, a lot of followers on YouTube in like the early years through those videos, and like most of them have stayed involved. So whenever I do a video, there's always people like commenting or stuff like that. Twitter's great. Like sometimes I'll play games like give me your band a roast, and that'll have like a lot of people come out of the woodworks who are obviously
I love that one. I saw that one the other day. That one was hilarious.
Yeah, it's like they know what they're getting into, so it's not like I'm going out of my way to be a hater. But people, sometimes it's better to give than receive. And yeah, Facebook.
I'm sorry. God damn it. Oh.
Yeah, Facebook is kind of like vanilla these days. I still have mine just because I have a decent sized following, but I don't really have like the energy to really think about like what's going to work with or without their algorithm. So that's kind of like a placeholder. And same with Instagram. It's a very very visually adaptive, very visually like forward platform. So that anytime you have something out there that has like a strong visual element that does well. And of course, like I'm also on TikTok. So sometimes I haven't really figured out. Huh?
I didn't know you were on TikTok. I'm adding you right now.
Yeah,
go ahead.
It's TikTok too. Like their algorithm is kind of weird. Like sometimes I'll get something out there and it'll be kind of like crickets, and then I have other videos that I've done like heavy metal mashups where over the years it'll be like a compilation of me interviewing people and saying like, hey, if you listen to your song over Baywatch, it totally syncs up, and like that's gotten like hundreds or thousands of views. Not hundreds or thousands, not hundreds of thousands. I'm not that viral yet, but yeah. So my strategy is always to adapt and kind of have a little bit of a presence everywhere, because each one of them has like kind of their own unique following, and they don't always interact. So I think it's important to continue to have my fingers in every bit of the pie. And we got to bring back Vine, dude. Vine was fun.
I miss Vine. Vine was fun.
Yeah, that was good while it lasted. I should have done more Necrosexual Vines when the getting was good. And then there's also, if you guys want to go old school, 2006, there's a site called Space Hay, and it's like MySpace throwback. So I'm also on Space Hay.
I showed Cori that yesterday, actually. In fact, she probably doesn't remember, but I did show her that.
No, I remember.
Yeah, okay.
I have a decent memory.
Yeah, she's young. She still got it.
She still got it. So
I'm not that old yet.
So are you on Space Hay then?
Yeah, I'm on Space Hay as well.
So does it actually work? Because Francis Roberts from King Gorm has been trying to tell me to get people on this platform, and it looks silly. So does it work?
Yeah, it works if people are on it. Well, I mean, it's funny because I grew up. The person who told me about MySpace was actually Roger from Mortician at a Cannibal Corpse show, which I find so funny because he was like, hey, this is a new website. It's a great place to network and connect with people. And he was approaching it from a band's perspective, but then it just became like emo teenager land. So, and it kind of predated when I was performing as a Necrosexual, but you go back to that same format and it's like, what can you do? You can like make a post, or you can change your profile picture, or you can make a bulletin or friend request and write on somebody's page. And like, that's kind of it. So it is like definitely a lot more simplistic, but that's how social media used to be. But I like that it's a throwback. Again, if people are on it, there seems like there's everyone on it, from young people to people that are millennials, maybe a little bit older. It doesn't seem like it's like a super burgeoning community, but again, it's still out there. So I haven't given up on the old space yet.
So Cori, are you going to join Space Hay or no?
I mean, I can.
Yeah. You can join it. Whether you get something out of it's a different story, but you can always join it.
If Cori joins it, I pledge to join it, but I will not join it until she does.
Okay.
Will be one of your followers, or at least I will.
Yeah.
I will have one whole follower. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So now next thing I wanted to go into was your interviewing, because we haven't talked about your interviewing. We've talked about you as the musician, the artist himself. So you do a lot of interviews, and you've had, like, I think it was a boss that went and walked out on you, wasn't it him?
He did in the beginning of it.
Yeah.
The interview is online, so you can watch it. We were able to get him to sit back down after the show. But yeah, that was one of the first times that I had somebody like straight up be kind of creeped out and freaked out, or maybe he thought I was mocking him because I was in corpse paint. I gave this great introduction where I was like, I'm here with a man who's so grim and frostbitten that it makes my nipples hard. Please welcome Abad. And then he was like, excuse me for a second, just got out of the room. So like that was kind of awkward, but he ended up being like super cool. He just had to he had the pre-show jitters, we'll say. So he had to just get out on stage and, rock and roll. And then he was like super cool to speak with. But yeah, that was a dangerous meeting. One of the few times that I was kind of like at a loss for words. And then I was also trying to be like respectful and not have him walk out on me again. So I was sort of let the guy do his own thing.
So I gotta ask. Okay, so just one more question on a boss, and then we're gonna move on to some other interviews.
Yeah.
Okay. How does one get the balls to say my nipples are hard to a boss on the first meeting? I don't know how to do that. How do you get the balls to do that?
It just came out naturally, I guess. Grim and frostbitten nipples, and then he was even like, I want to speak with you, but just saying the things about the nipples. It was his boundary, so I had to respect that.
He draws the line at nipples.
Right? Yeah.
I'll remember that for the future.
Yeah.
Do you nipples now before you do an interview, or is it just like?
What about? Sorry.
Do you ask if they have boundaries on talking about nipples now before interviews? Or
No.
So on a serious note, not serious. So when you're setting these interviews up, are you telling them that you're the necrosexual, or are you just saying like, I'm a random guy from the site, I want to interview you?
Yeah, no, usually, I'll send links to my videos. I'll send links to it'll be on usually my necrosexual email, or I'll have something to show what I'm doing, because I'd rather have people know what they're getting into rather than having them like risk walking out or just essentially wasting my time if they're not into it. But yeah, I've been really lucky. That hasn't really happened too much. Like, I've never had an interview like, the worst case they'll just say no, they'll pass on it. And I did study the dark arts of journalism, so it is ironic that I'm using my journalism degree in this way, more so than anything else. So like a lot of that, just being able to be professional enough to send emails, to set things up, to spell things out clearly. Every now and again, there will be someone where they're like, oh, I don't want to be on camera. And I was like, well, I did specifically spell out that this was going to be, a Zoom interview for my YouTube channel, and I'm in corpse paint, but I'll just turn my shit off and make it audio only. But even that only happened like once recently. So just being professional, being upfront, being transparent, those ethics go a long way, even when you're singing songs about making love to corpses.
I thought you Borated it a couple times though, where you kind of like went in with them and they didn't know. Is that not true?
Maybe in the beginning, like one of my very first ones, like with In Flames, I didn't really let him know, but he was super cool. So he was like totally cool with it. And I'm trying to think, I've been doing it since 2011 and 2012. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure there have been some times, especially in the earlier days, where that happened. Yeah, probably.
Cori, you want to ask a question before I get on to my next part?
Oh no, you stole one of mine, so go for it. You always do.
Oh,
you keep stealing my questions.
Damn it, Curtis.
Sorry. Well, I wanted Cori to ask you about interview style, interview questions, because she's a journalist out of the two. Well, I used to be one, so I'd like to hear her questions from her own mouth to you about interview type questions. I'm interested.
So when you're doing an interview I mean, there's always the standard interview questions, but how do you like inject your personality into the questions that you're asking so that it's very clearly a necrosexual interview and not just any interview?
Yeah, I think every interview I go into, like I have talking points that I want to hit. And then there's also a lot of space that I give myself to kind of see where the conversation goes. Like a lot of the questions will, or the things I say, it will be based off of like what the person, the interviewee, I guess, based on what their responses are. And again, it goes back to having like kind of improv background to feel comfortable with like a loose outline or no outline and just see where things go. And then like I still have the, I guess, the journalism side of things where there's still the points that I want to hit, talk about their new album or talk about their band, talk about whatever geeky stuff. And yeah, try to get people to talk about what they're passionate. Like metalheads are huge fucking geeks. They're huge dorks. So with my recent,
I am not a dork. That's not true.
Well, okay. So like, have you ever like had it where it's like the guy will not kind of loosen up in the interview and they're just like totally serious the whole time while you're trying to
Yeah, I mean, and that happens sometimes too. So all I can do when like that happens is just to keep being me, and then it'll be hopefully entertaining just to see me continue to be like the necrosexual and seeing them like either being a plank of wood or being kind of uncomfortable. But I can't really, that's sort of out of my control when that happens. Like I can do my best to disarm them. And I think that the fact that I am a real metalhead, like it's not a phase I'm going through. It's definitely not an act I put on. Like I really do like love the music and I do know my shit. So most of the people I do try to interview are people that I have an interest in speaking with and have an interest in their music. So I think that should still kind of come across like hopefully the people realize that like I'm the butt of my own joke. Like, I'm not here to make them look stupid. Maybe I'll make myself look stupid in the process, but so I think that hopefully comes across too and will disarm people.
Okay, I'm kind of throwing this over to Cori for a second because I want her perspective on because you're talking about trying to make the interview subject kind of like loosen up and that type of thing. Okay, so without doing the comedy thing, Cori, how does it work to get the interviewee kind of comfortable? I know you don't do a lot of interviews, but I'm just curious what they do otherwise in the crack the jokes like the necrosexual does.
Usually I try to get them laughing at me.
Okay. Cool.
So yeah, I do a lot of the same stuff but in a different way. Like obviously I'm not in corpse paint or anything like that, but I am hugely awkward a lot of times, and I will say and or do something that will humiliate me. So if I can get them laughing at me, usually they loosen up, and it's totally, because I don't know why, but people sometimes will put me on like a pedestal because of where I work and what I do, and they're like, oh my God, stop doing that. But I'm just like a normal person who fucks up all the time and is a complete idiot sometimes. So just letting people get a sense that I'm not some, I don't know, important god or whatever. I'm just me.
That leads me to my next question with Necro. Perfect. That was perfect timing. So okay, so you're a metal injection contributor, and that's what you're kind of known for nowadays. Well, not totally, I guess, but you are known for being a metal injection contributor. I know you used to do Metal Sucks. So the pedestal thing. So do you get people kind of reaching out to you with like that type of thing where they like, oh, Mr. Necro, well, maybe not Mr. Necrosexual, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great platform to have, but I think it's also important to be someone like if there wasn't those websites, I would still be doing what I do. And like when people want to reach out to me, like that's great. Doesn't mean I'm going to listen to them or like their music, but it's a great way to connect with like-minded people, and a lot of them are pretty cool and play great music. So it's definitely opened some doors that way. But at the same rate, like some people, like a lot of metalheads, like on one hand, I'm totally down to like appeal to people that aren't into metal or might be kind of like normies, and I'm still hopefully entertaining enough that they can still like get what I'm doing. But like, I also have like the whole extreme metal, black metal, like influence, and a lot of that scene, like, will scoff at websites like Metal Injection, like, oh, they're posers because, you know, I mean, they cover some bands that I find horrendous, like terrible, but I understand why they cover them because they have big fan bases. So that's how they get their, and I'm not, you know, I don't have any stake in like the website traffic or anything. But I'm just saying, like, it is a business. I understand, like, you know, unfortunately, it is sort of the nature of the beast.
You got to do what you got to do
for websites that size. So yeah, it can help me, or some people are like, oh, fuck this guy, he's a poser. But again, I'm still doing what I'm doing, and the more, you know, the more you hate, the more I'm just gonna keep doing it. So
the more I'm gonna piss you off because it's funny.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So just a couple more questions, like maybe another 5 minutes, and then we're gonna let you go. So I got one thing I want to ask about is the networking. How has being at Metal Injection helped you network? Because I'm sure it's helped you meet people that you normally wouldn't meet if you weren't a journalist.
Yeah, definitely. But again, like, having those journalism connections, like, I still set up a lot of my most of my own interviews myself, especially with the pandemic happening this last year. Like, that's all been just me, baby. And also, prior to contributing to Metal Injection, I was still just kind of doing it guerrilla style. So that's also why I continue to have my YouTube channel and social media platforms, because of my own blog, because I'm still building my own platform, my own audience. God forbid, like, those websites were to disappear tomorrow or something, which I don't think is going to happen, but it's important to be my own self-made ghoul. So I try to always have that do-it-yourself ethic with everything too. If there's some big websites that want to collaborate with me, like, great, it's super helpful, of course, but it's important to just keep doing what I'm going to do.
I agree. So now, how about for you? Like, you do a lot of promoting of bands in general, not just yourself. Why do you, like, you seem to promote others more than yourself? It seems that's what it looks like to me. So why is that? Because do you find that if you promote others, it more also gets you traffic, or is this like, what is this? I'm just trying to understand.
I mean, with the interviews, that's something that I've done since 2011. And now that I've become more regular to the fact that you can do it from home, it's like opened a huge door. So I'm trying to keep that, like, going. But yeah, I think that when you build your network with people, like, you'll see the more people I've, like, reached out and collaborated with, like, that always helps getting my brand across. Because with music, that's a little bit more of a kind of slow burn sometimes, or with having music that's recorded and, like, in various stages of production. So I think it's important to keep those gears rolling. And with the Necrosexual, it is a very personality driven thing. So if there's a way to collaborate with people, you know, build my network, you know, reach out to bands and see what happens. And it's kind of like cross necrosemination across the channel.
I love it. You know what you should do sometime is a cartoon. I would love to see a Necrosexual.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah.
Do something animated.
Adults.
Yeah.
If you
Adult
can
Swim.
And get like a cartoon made of the Necrosexual, that would be the best fucking thing ever.
Yeah, you gotta get up with some good animators, because I can't draw for shit.
All right, Cori, do you got any final questions for Mr. Necrosexual?
No, I think I'm good for today, but eventually I'll probably want to have you back, because I'll think of something. I know I will, and I won't let Curtis steal it.
Yeah, definitely love to be back at a new album. Hopefully, like I said, in the next 3 to 6 months, we'll see, but it's all recorded. So I'll be promoting that in the near future.
Woo.
And are there any bands that you want to promote, or anything yourself that you want to promote other than your new album before we end off?
Yeah, of course, you can always head over to the Necrosexual's YouTube channel, The True Necrosexual on YouTube, where I'll be posting my dead talks, my morbid talks every week or so with guests from all over the world and bands you might know and love. So check that out online. And then also, if you want to check out my homies in Basilisk. They have a great album out called Emergence. I get mistaken for their bass player all the time. I don't see the resemblance, but yeah, Josh did some necro artwork for my new album, and then the drummer Mike also. I've been known to kidnap him on occasion so he can record drums for the Necrosexual.
Yeah, kidnapped just for drums.
Yeah, all right.
So thank you very much for doing this. We really appreciate it. I love these types of chats. Like it's great to have people like you on. So we'll invite you back and party on, Cori.
Party on, Curtis. Party on, Necro.
Woo! Keep it grim.